If you're looking for a gentle, nature-inspired way to homeschool preschool without turning your home into a mini classroom, today I'm sharing the books and curriculum that actually worked for us during my daughter's preschool years. Hey, I'm Ella, and this is Juniper Hollow. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and today I'm sharing materials we actually used with my oldest when she was in her preschool years. I have some parenting philosophy books that shaped sort of how we did things in our home, and then I do have some of the curriculum that we actually tried, and then I'm going to talk about how reading happened early for us. So first of all, the big question, do you even need an early childhood curriculum? And I do want to say this right up front that you absolutely do not need a formal curriculum for preschool. Young kids mostly need time with you, playing outside, baking, reading, painting, just being kids. But if you're like me, having a little bit of structure during the day can really help create a rhythm so that you're not constantly scrambling for the next activity. I always found things easier when I knew what was coming next, and we're going to talk about that with one of the main curricula that I used. So what did I try first? At first, I tried downloading just random things that I found online. I went to Teachers Pay Teachers, I found color matching pages, Montessori 3-piece puzzles, all sorts of things, just free resources, paid resources, things I really never ended up using. I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking for, but I knew I wanted some sort of concrete philosophy and some sort of structure. So here are some of the things that I found that actually worked for us during those early preschool years. First, the parenting books. I read this book when my daughter was still a baby, and it really set us on the path of being very mindful about screen time and technology and their influence on childhood. And I think anybody who is a little bit concerned with the way society seems to be going right now with how kids are raised will find this book enlightening. Next, I have Montessori from the Start. This book is mostly for ages birth to age 3, but this was sort of one of our earliest guidebooks on what we were trying to do at home. If you're leaning towards the Montessori philosophy, this is a great book to pick up early. It walks you through all the developmental stages from birth to age 3, about toddlerhood. So this was a little bit before sort of like actual preschool age, but it was really kind of the philosophy we were leaning on at the time. It talks about fostering independence, which we were really all about for our daughter. Then sort of to go along with that, we have the Montessori Toddler. We did use this one a lot. It has a lot of suggestions for activities. This is a page I still keep in mind when I'm showing her new things. Show. Slow hands omit words. When you're demonstrating something to a child, just gently show them with your hands and maybe don't say anything at all. This was one of the very first books related to Waldorf education that I bought. It goes into child development from the Waldorf perspective, how to build a family culture, how to grow your rhythm, celebrate festivals, and focus on outdoor play. So those are some of the early parenting books that shaped how we approached those years. And now let me show you a few nature-based activity books that we used a lot. The Book of Family Nature Activities. This is actually a pretty old book. The first edition is from 1997. I got this used, so I don't actually know if there's a new edition or not, but if there is, I'll link it down below. This is great for all ages, actually. It is nature-based activities for kids and families. This was one of the first things we did, was we set up a kids corner in our garden. Some of them are more appropriate for older kids. Some of them are great for young kids, like there's how to build a worm compost in here. Just all kinds of cool outdoorsy activities. Okay, Nature's Art Box. This one is cool too. It has a lot of projects in it that use natural materials, and we've made several things from it. We made this picture frame with sticks and moss. We didn't have moss because we don't really have a lot of moss around here, but we found some leaves. So we have a sticks and leaves picture frame that we put up. corn dolls, sweet little woodland people, gnomes, fairies made from acorns and pine cones and all kinds of things you can find outside. Dried flower fairy. It comes with instructions for every page. And again, this is another book that is good for multiple ages. It just depends on how much help you want to give your child with the project. And then these two, my neighbor actually gave me recently. We didn't use them with my oldest daughter because she just gave them to us, but I've been looking at them and I just wanted to include them as a place where you could get some more activities to do with your kids, young kids. So this one is all indoor activities. And then this one is outdoor activities. So those were some nature-y and general activity books that we used. And so now here are a few pagan-themed books that helped us build a seasonal rhythm at home. The Earthchild's Handbook. This has activities for various ages. I'd say preschool to kindergarten would be good. So when my daughter was younger, she really enjoyed making these mobiles. So what I do with this book is I make a copy of every page and then we can use it multiple times. So I would print this out, she'd color it. She colors the little animals that go with the Earth mobile, for example, and then I would attach them with the strings. So the book has different sections in it for the elements. I'll actually show you the table of contents. So it starts with me and my family, goes into Mother Earth and the elements, then the heavens, the stars, the god and the goddess, deities, divination, magic and ritual, and your altar, which I have not done this with my daughter yet, but I think she's old enough now that she might enjoy this. They have these cutout activities to sort of make a paper altar. I think it's very sweet. Crystal wand. Then I have Circle Round. If you're a pagan family, then this book can really help you with your seasonal rhythm. I feel like the way Waldorf has a yearly rhythm really flows so well with what we're already celebrating in our family, so it just kind of blends together really nicely. Our family doesn't celebrate every Sabbath, but we do the equinoxes and solstices. This book has some nice songs, crafts, stories, and rituals and recipes. I'll just flip to a random Sabbath. We'll do Samhain because why not? This is a very Wiccan book. I'm not Wiccan, so I pick and choose what we do out of this. But it does have a lot of Wiccan stuff if you are Wiccan. It tells you maybe like how to set up an altar. It tells you what the god and goddess are sort of doing at this time of year. Then there's usually some stories in here, and my daughter loves the stories. This one talks about a little bit about Halloween, an ancestor feast, visiting with the ancestors, finding an ancestor tree, a song, very simple songs. If you can just play basic notes, you'll be able to follow them. Some crafts, some recipes, and then it goes on into the next one. And it's a whole book just full of ideas. And I somehow managed to end up with a copy that's signed by Starhawk. Okay, then we have The Simple Sabbath, which is just a really sweet little book. It says it's a family-friendly approach to the 8 pagan holidays, and it just has some basic recipes and correspondences types of incense, some activities, suggestions, meditations. It's got some YouTube links in there. And it also, I think each Sabbath has a full ritual in here also, which is nice because they're very like basic and kid friendly. Okay, so those were a few Pagan books that we liked for crafts and activities and our rhythm. And next I'm going to show you some curriculum that I did buy. Okay, so the Waldorf Essentials Foundations of Early Childhood book. This book really drives home the need for rhythm in your day. And that was the part that finally clicked with me for Waldorf education was I got this. Having a predictable, reliable rhythm gives kids a sense of security, and it takes the guesswork out of your job as a parent. So this book comes with instructions on how to make a circle time, how to set up your daily rhythm. This is just one suggestion that they have. How to have a family rhythm. It really talks all about your home, as well as Waldorf education blended in with it. Okay, so they give you some sample circle times, all the festivals that you could celebrate if you are looking for something to celebrate. So it lays out every month, it has a theme. It has a verse and it has some stories that you could read that go along with it. And if you wanted to, you could just use these as your circle time layout and stop there. But it does also teach you how to make your own, which is what I used it for. This program really gave me the confidence to tell stories in a creative way. And I even made like felt props to go along with some of my stories. And this is really the program that finally got our family to use meal planning and stick with it. In the back of the book, there's a ton of verses. There's a whole library of verses. And this part I really like too. So the main bulk of the book is actually sort of like a fictional diary from several parents' perspectives. What they do is they have the 4 seasons. So this is winter. Each parent for each season, it gives like a little blurb about them as a person and who they are and kind of sets you into their world. And then they have several entries where they are implementing some of the tools and stories and verses that you learn from this curriculum. And this is kind of a way to show you how your life can sort of like flow and look if you kind of like lean into the natural rhythm of Waldorf education. So the Foundations of Early Childhood does also come with their online Thinking, Feeling, Willing program, which is like parent training. It takes you through the Waldorf philosophy as well as skills you'll want if you are planning to become a Waldorf-style homeschooler. So that is also a big part of this program, is their online content. And then I used Blossom and Roots Early Years Volume 2. They do have a Volume 1, but I don't have it. After reading about both of them, I thought Volume 2 was more where we were at. So I don't have a review of Volume 1, although I would like to take a look at it at some point, just out of curiosity. But I really thought this was going to be our main curriculum when I bought this, and I do really like Blossom and Root products. We have used their entire level 0, and I'm planning to use their level 1. But for this one, we just didn't use it as much as I thought we would. So they give you a planner, and you're kind of supposed to go through this book and find the lessons and break them down into the days that you want to do each of the components. And at the time, I was not organized enough to stick with a schedule like this. I think I could do this now, but also I don't think I would want to do this now, and I'll tell you why. So we did use a lot of the things in here. We used some of the crafts, we used some of the recipes, we listened to some of the composers, and we looked at some of the artists. We didn't really do the math and the letters because I was starting to kind of trend more towards delaying academics, which kind of did not work out at all, because we had her in a Montessori school, but it is what it is. At home, I didn't think she needed anything extra. I didn't think she needed any more work on her letter sounds or anything like that. So I just think it went maybe a little bit more academic than I was looking for. For example, this nature study says to talk about this bird's diet, migratory habits, predators, nesting habits, male appearance versus female appearance. I don't know, it just seemed like a lot for what I was looking for. We did do some of it, but we didn't structure it, and it was just kind of like as we felt like it. I kind of wish I had used this program a little bit more. For me personally, this did not work out for us. It was a little too academic for us. But I did find another curriculum that I do plan to use with my younger daughter. And if you're interested in hearing about that, then please give my channel a follow, because I do plan to make a video about it once we start using it. So those were the two main curriculums I used. Mainly this one sort of like changed everything I knew about life. This one I really, really wanted to like, but I ended up only taking bits and pieces from it every now and then. So now this next part might be a little controversial in Waldorf circles, so plug your ears if you're scared. But when my daughter was 3, we were deep in the Montessori philosophy, and Waldorf was more of just in our orbit. But that said, even if Waldorf was our full focus, I still think I would have done this with her because she asked me. When my daughter was 3, she was absolutely begging me to teach her how to read. Like, I tried many times to tell her she'd learn soon, relax, there's plenty of time, there's no rush, they're gonna teach you at your school how to read soon. And so this is also where the Montessori follow the child came in for me. So at her Montessori school, they follow the child, but only up to a point. So they do have certain times when they introduce certain lessons. They have scaffolding that they put in place before they just throw them into the next activity. And she wasn't at the point in their curriculum yet where it was time to learn to read. But she was so frustrated. She would memorize entire storybooks and recite them back to us, pretending to read to us. She would just ask and ask, why can't I read? My friends can already read, why can't I? And truth be told, that is one of the downsides of a multi-age classroom, maybe. So I got this book when she was a little over 3. Now, I will be the first to say this book is boring and it is repetitive. And I did not enjoy doing it. However, my daughter was extremely motivated and she wanted to do these lessons. She asked me to do these lessons. And so I did them with her and she learned to read. It was a kind of a combination of a few things. It was this book, and the Bob books were also fantastic. The most important thing about the Bob books is do not read them to your child. They have to read them to you, because otherwise, if you have a kid like mine, she'd just memorize every book, which defeats the purpose of trying to learn to read it. So yeah, we did have a few other strategies that we used, but the main ones were the Bob books and the Teach Your Child to Read book, and also always using the main phonetical sound for letters instead of their names. We kind of went hard into the Montessori philosophy on that, and letters were A, B, K, D. They were not A, B, C, D. And so that's all she knew. And so when she started to read, she immediately started sounding things out correctly. If you want to see a video more in depth about how I helped my 3-year-old to read, let me know down in the comments down below. So those are the main books and resources that shaped our preschool years. And again, you absolutely do not need a curriculum at this stage. But having some inspiration and structure can make those years feel a little more peaceful. If you'd like to see a flip through of any of these books or the Blossom and Root curriculum, just let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy homeschool content like this, feel free to subscribe. I post new videos regularly.